Hi, my name is Kirk Dennison with Peacekeeper Games. I'd like to teach you how to play the solo mode of one of our games, Gearworks, today. In Gearworks, you are tinkerers trying to build contraptions that need combinations of parts. For example, if I wanted to build this ornithopter, I would need the C part, which is a wing, and a canister. If you manage to build both parts of this contraption, you earn 9 points. But if I only build half of it, I get 4 points. This wing, if I didn't place it on a contraption, would be worth 2 points by itself. So you do better to build your contraptions. You acquire these throughout the game, trying to score more points by filling them in. But you can also get points from picking up bonus sparks as well. Your tinkerers have special abilities. We'll select Victoria to play with for solo mode. I'll give a quick rundown of what the rules are, and then I'll explain the differences for solo mode. This is a puzzle-y game. At its core, there are two rules. There's a restriction for color, and there's a restriction for numbers. The playmat has a reminder on the side. Columns have color restrictions. Rows have number restrictions. At the start of the game, there will be a number of cards seated out on the board. This is true at all player counts. The playmat will show you what player counts need the cards to start there. In the two-player or solo game, you do not play with this column. That's why it says 3+ there. So the cards start instead on these spots. So back to the color rules. Each column may only have one card of each color. There are cards from 1 to 9 in 5 colors. With there being a green here, there cannot be another green card placed there. But I could play this blue card here, for example. And then in each row, numbers go from low to high or high to low. The second card will tell you the direction. In this case, now that 6 is greater than 2, you'll orient the arrows up to show that numbers are increasing. Now the only numbers that can be played in between are numbers that are equal to or less in this range, meaning that 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Every time you play a gear, you also get to claim temporary ownership over that row and column. So I'm the purple background, which means that I rotate this to show purple, and I rotate this to show purple. Then my opponent, if they choose to play a card, takes one of those away. Let's say they played here. They would rotate this, let's say they're orange, towards orange, and rotate this towards orange. Play continues until all players have passed. After all players have passed, the players who are showing their color still pointing towards the grid pick up these parts that they can then use to build their contraptions. There is also a way that you can get bonuses by tinkering to get these lightning bolts. This is done by a simple math formula. Don't be alarmed. It's just addition or subtraction, and the numbers only go up to 9. And in a 1 or 2 player game, they only go up to 7. I'll show you a couple examples to help it make sense. In this case, if I take this 6 and I play it here, it looks here and finds the 5 and the 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. I get a spark. This would also be true if the numbers were further apart and not next to each other. So this would work there. And this would even work if the numbers are in the same row, meaning that if there's a 2 here, and I play this 4 here, 6 minus 2 is the 4. These sparks can be used in a variety of ways, namely to get new cards, but also to play cards on top of cards to get additional points. For solo mode, you get to remove a number of cards. Here in the rules on the next to last page, talks about what you remove. You remove all the contraptions that have this symbol on the bottom, as well as any that have this E, because the grid will be played without E in a solo game, similar to 2-player, and you don't need these E parts. Go ahead and push these away. You also get to remove all the 8s and 9s from the deck, leaving us 35 cards, 5 suits, 1 through 7. The solo rules are explained on the back of the rulebook. We've updated it. It's a black and white print. These are the rules you should use. The underlying rules are the same. They're just presented in a more concise and easy to follow format now. There will be a link to download the updated solo rules. Our opponent is actually a contraption we built. The mechanical Leviathan came to life creates chaos in the workshop. You'll get to pick one of 4 difficulty levels. For the purpose of showing this off, I'll do the easy mode. Each round he has a certain number of sparks that are his game timer for how many turns he can take. He starts off with 7 in round 1 in easy modes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He'll spend 1 every turn to take his turn. When he's out of sparks, he'll have to pass. He'll be able to flip cards. The flip limit applies to this gear card deck that shows him trying to find a card that will work where he's choosing to play in a target location. He will score points for each part that he gets, and I can use my ability. His color we're going to play with is this orange color. And what's new in solo mode that we've done is added a new double-sided reference card that makes it much faster to administer. The side is determined by how many empty spaces are on the grid. When there are more than 4 empty spaces, flip to this side. When there are 4 or less, flip to this side. You look for the gray highlighted areas. Those are the only differences from front to back. So on this side, if you read everything, this gray text, when it's more than 4 empty spaces, he looks for empty spaces. When it is less than or equal to 4, he'll look for any spaces. And when this happens, if the target space is occupied, he'll have to spend sparks to play on top of that space. So at the start of a round, there will be more than 4 empty spaces. This will be what we start on. To make it faster to set up, I'll just go ahead and slot in some of these that were already played there. And every round, it starts the same for the player. Just like in a multiplayer game, you will get 5 cards. My camera is held in my hand. I don't have a great setup for this, so I'm holding in one hand and playing one hand. But this will also show you how fairly easy it is to administer solo mode in this game, even only playing with one hand. My starting contraption, or my goal I'm going for, is B and 1. So at the end of the round, my goal is that I would have this and this pointing towards my color. I always go first in a solo game. Knowing that I want those, and I see in my hand I have some lower cards, sometimes it helps me make decisions on where I want to place. Ideally, I'd like to be able to play a card later in the round up here, so I'd rather these be more spaces to play a lower number. So if I were to play a higher number here right now, like this, I could make sure that there is the opportunity to play cards that are less than or equal to 4 later in the round, which happens to be everything left in my hand. This conveniently is 4 plus 2 is 6. I get a spark. I already had one to start with, so there's my other one. I flip this to show my purple color here and my purple color here. Now, for the AI, on their turn, they flip over one of these cards to show where they want to play. But they first get to spend 1 spark. Then we'll identify a target column based on flipping contraption cards, clock backs, until they find a card where the column has at least 1 potential target space. In this side of the card, that means an empty space that they do not control both the row and column. So I will flip this card. They're looking at C. And as long as there's at least 1 space that's empty and they don't have control of both of the markers, they want to play there. Now we're at the start of the round, so of course they don't have anything. So we're playing in C. Great. Now we want to find the row they're playing in, because you'll identify the target space. The number of target spaces were 3. There was C1, C2, C3. They weren't going to target this because it was full. And if there was only 1 target space, they'd just play there. But there were 3, so we flipped a contraption card until the number shown is a potential target space. That becomes the target space. So we flip this, it says 2. So I'm looking at C2. This is where they'll try to play. Now they're going to flip cards until they find one that can be played there, or until they reach their flip limit, which is 4 cards. They'll probably find a hit on the first card unless it was a yellow, since the board is pretty open to start with. So they play this here. Their color again is orange. They do not tinker because 2 and 6 are not 7. Okay, back to me. I don't draw any cards or take any sparks in between turns. In between rounds, I would get something. Okay, so ideally, I'll go ahead and try to take away things from them and tinker if possible. So if I can play in 2 or C, that would be ideal. I'm going to go ahead and play this 3 here. 7 minus 4 is the 3 that I played. I get a spark. Can take that away. Take this away. AI will now get to flip another card. Again, currently they are identifying empty spaces because there are greater than 4 empty spaces left. So they're looking at B. There are 2 empty spaces left. They will look for B4, which is empty. So now they'll try to play in B4. They'll play this 4 here, turning this towards orange, taking this away from me. They do not tinker. Okay, back to me. They were supposed to have spent this spark. Okay, I'd like to restrict a bit of the board here. Knowing I have a whole handful of ones and I only have one column where I can play yellow since these 3 are color locked, I'm going to go ahead and play this here. Turning this towards purple. This is still mine. There is no tinkering there. Back to the AI. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 empty spaces. We're still on this side of the card. Empty spaces it is. Flip over this card. They're looking at A. There is 1 empty space. They do not control both the A and the 4. So that is the space they will try to target. It has to be a number that is 4 or less, that is not yellow, not green, not gray. They have 4 attempts. That's gray, so that's a miss on 1. Blue, less than or greater than 4, so it's a miss. Miss. And miss. They wasted a turn by not being able to play there. This is what you want, to be able to have them target ranges that are restricted to a tighter number of cards it could play and then have them miss. Back to me. I currently control 1, 2, 3, 4. I could pass and then pay a spark to come back in if I'd like to, but I'm not sure that's really what I want to do right now. I think I'd like to go ahead and lock in some more space for myself to later by playing this 1. Again, I want to win this 1, so if I can play a 1 here, I'm allowing this to only be a 1 later, and I still have a 1 in my hand. There is no tinkering here, but I take this from them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 empty spaces, so now we're still on the same side. They're going to go ahead and flip a card here. They're going to target A. Perfect. Only 1 spot there. Again, we know there's a lot of restrictions there, but no greens. That's 1 miss. No gray, 2 miss. No green, 3 miss. No gray, another miss. I always forget to do this at the start, but you're always supposed to tick down the timer of the spark. If you read the card, it's right at the top. Spend 1 spark. Nonetheless, they're running out of turns. This is a time that I'd like to go ahead and pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are coming to me. I have to spend a spark to come back in. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pass. The AI will only pass if they control at least 5 rows or columns, or they have 0 sparks. They have a spark, so they'll continue playing. They're going to spend a spark, flip a card. Hey, I'm getting really lucky here. 4 hits. Miss 1. This one can be played though. None of those colors are played there, and it is less than or equal to 4. They'll play there. They already had this half, so they only took 1 part from me, which isn't terrible for me. They do not tinker. Now they're up to 3 parts they control. I could continue to pass and come back in later and do some damage because I already have a 1 that can be played here or a 1 that can be played there. Let's just see what happens here. So I'll pass again. They spend another spark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They still play on this side of the card. Flip this D. They're going to target D. There are 3 empty spaces, so we have to flip a second card to identify which one they're going for. D, 1. And they do not control both of those, so they will flip 4 cards. 1. That was bad. Okay. I chose to roll the dice. I could have played the card there myself, and I chose not to do that. So they will take this from me. And they tinkered. 2 minus 1 is 1 they played. They get a spark back. So that was a bad scenario for me. Okay. Right now they control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I don't come back in, the round will end because they will pass. They'll pass if they control 5 or more rows or columns. And if both players pass in a row, the round ends. This would not be ideal for me. I'm going to spend a spark to come back in. And now what I want to do is take things away from the AI. This is a good time to spend 2 sparks to play on top of this That's one of the things you can do by spending sparks. You can spend 2 sparks to replace a gear card. So I paid 1 to come back in, and I'm paying 2 to play on top. It still meets the number and the color rules. Taking this back from me, taking this back from me. One note is you cannot tinker when you play on top, so I don't get a spark there. Back to the AI who pays this. There's still 4, actually no, there's only 4 empty spaces now, so they're on this side now. Now they'll try to replace, which is not ideal for me. They spent a spark, they'll try to find a target column. This is based on those that have any space they can play in, empty or full, but the target space is identified as those that they do not control the row and column. So in C, they control 4. They don't control anything in the C side, so this literally means all of them can be played. So in this case, there are more than 1 space they can play. What I'm really hoping is they flip over 3 because they have a very limited number of cards that can be played in there. So C, 2. They're going to try to play here. Unfortunately, a lot of cards can be played there, and that will take away 2 things from me. Miss because it's less than 3. They can play this here. They do have to spend another spark to overplay, to replace. If the target space is occupied, they spend 1 spark. They would even have to spend that if they didn't find a successful placement. That was the target space they tried to find. I did speed through this. So they identified the target column, which was C, and then they had to flip a card to identify the target space, which was 2, and then they had to spend that target space, the spark, because the target space was occupied, and then find a gear card by flipping gear cards until the flip limit was reached, or they found a card that could be played, which they found a card that could be played. So they took these from me, which is not good, and I'm out of cards and out of sparks, so I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'll have to pass, and they will pass because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the end of the round, I will collect my part, and my part. I'm faced with a dilemma here. I could either half build my perpetual motion machine, or I could save my part to try to build it fully on a future round. The point difference in solo mode ends up being fairly substantial. They currently have 15 points, 5 times 3. I currently have 2, 4, 6. I will get 1 spark for not using my ability in between rounds. I could up this by building this here to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but I'm still lagging by quite a bit. I'm going to play risky here and hold on to this and hope that I can fully build it in a future round. It does create more things that I need to do. In between rounds, you shuffle both decks, both the gear deck and the contraption deck, which I did off screen to save time. Then I will deal out new cards onto the grid and to myself as a human player. I will get 1 new contraption card, really hoping that I don't get one that overlaps with the objectives I have from my existing card. No B, no 1. Great. They're different. So I want D, B, 3, and 1 ideally. Then we see with the Leviathan one, so you want 7 sparks for this round. Okay, as normal, I am the start player. Looking at the board here, I got to cover a lot of ground to catch up in this game. D3, B1. The easiest way to lock down the board early is by controlling rows range. I went 3 and 1. If I were to play a 5 here, there is a much less likely chance that they would be able to play in the middle of this range. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Lock down the board here. Flip this towards purple. Flip this towards purple. It doesn't give me a spark. That's okay. Leviathan. There are more than 4 empty spaces. As a reminder, they will first spend 1 spark. Then they'll identify the target column by flipping a contraption card. They'll look at D. There are 1, 2, 3 empty columns. They don't control anything in D, so they're all target spaces. So I have to flip an additional card to find a target space. 1. D1. And they have 4 chances to find a card that can fit there. Being the first flip, as long as it's not blue, it will work because the number range is not set yet. Okay, they go ahead and play this there, flip both of these gears to be their red color back to me. I'm still sitting on this 7, and I can break the color rule once per round with my Victoria ability, which can work out nice to later in the round play my green 7 there if I need to get this 1. I think I want to get some sparks here, give myself some more currency to work with. I could also just make this a very difficult board in general for them to play on. Let's lock this down here, making it so only 1s and 2s can be played here. The hope is that they would flip over contraptions that target one of these 4 spaces and have very few cards that can hit in that range. Also, by playing here, I took one thing away from them. 1 plus 1 is 2. I get a spark, giving me some more currency to work with. On their turn again, they'll spend 1 spark. There's still at least 4 empty spaces. They're looking for empty spaces only. They're looking at B, of which there's 1, 2, 3. I'm really hoping they hit 2 or 3. The second card, the second card is 4. That wasn't good. B4. They're looking here. Pretty much any card except for grays will work there. Okay, so they found a card. Turns these towards higher. They did not tinker. Back to me. I need D and 3. I'm on 3. I'm not on 1 yet. Let's go ahead and make... Here's a strategy tip. One way you can do well against the opponent is to allow there to be a lot of spaces that are difficult to hit while still maintaining at least 4 empty spaces, because then they'll only be targeting the empty spaces which are hard to hit, which currently are here. So I don't want to fill too many spaces, but I am going to go ahead and fill this space here, which I can hit with my green. I still have this, but I'll take this away from them. So now I currently have my D3 if I were to get this, and I do not have B or 1 yet. I'll hope to get those later. Back to the AI, they'll spend a spark. There are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 empty spaces, so they will be playing on this side of the card. They'll flip a contraption card looking at A. I'm not getting lucky here. I need them to hit B or C. There are 2 empty spaces that they do not control. They will look one more time, A4. And flip cards, but they need a 6 or 7 that is not brown, not green, so they might miss. So there's a 6 brown, that's a miss. Blue 7, they'll hit. Taking this away from me, not good. And this away from me. Back to me. I have these very restricted ranges that I've locked down. Go ahead and play here. Change this, change this. 7 minus 4 is the 3 I played, taking another spark. Back to them, they'll spend a spark to take their turn, that's always true. There are exactly 5 empty spaces, so they're still on this side, potentially for the last time. They will flip over, looking for C, great. There's 2 empty spaces. That's what they're trying to hit. They need 2 or 3. I grabbed the wrong one, 3. They're looking at C3, so now they can only find a 5. That is not blue. It's already blue on the table. And not gray. So I have 4 chances to find a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Voila, they missed. Okay, back to me. I control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I currently have D3 and 1. I don't have B yet, but I have a way to come back and get that. I don't want to fill in that space yet. The way the game works is they have 3 columns they can play in right now because they're targeting only columns that are empty. So if they were to flip over a contraption with a D, they would have to flip over another until they find A, B, or C. And I'm really hoping they hit B or C. You'll know that the deck, there's only one card of each grid coordinate in there. So there is a little bit of a memory to it, that I know there's one less B, one less D in there. I can see here that they've just hit a B. I'm going to pass. I have currency to come back in. They'll take their turn, spend a spark. Flipping this. A. No. Okay, there is only one empty space in A, and they currently do not control both of them, so they will target this. The number of potential target spaces are those that are empty, that they do not control both the row and the column. They do control the column, they do not control the row. That's the only empty space on this side. Again, they're looking for empty spaces, so we don't have to do a second card flip. 4 chances to get a 7 that is not one of those colors. So they actually can only find the gray, which is actually out there. There's only a yellow 7. Yep, they have to find the yellow 7 in 4 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4. Miss. Boom, that worked out well. Back to me. I'll pass since I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm still doing better there. They'll spend another spark. They'll flip again, looking at A. Okay, they're going to flip here again, looking for this yellow 7. 1, miss. 2, miss. 3, miss. 4, miss. Doing great here. I'll pass. I'll let them finish spending out their stuff. They'll spend a spark. Looking at D this time, they can't play D. C this time. They need C2 or 3 empty spaces that they don't control both of the spots, because I have C. They don't control either. So the next one will tell them C1 they can't hit. C4 they can't hit. Go ahead and shuffle this. I shuffled the deck. C3, they're going to hit this 5 spot. They have 4 attempts to find a 5. 1, miss. 2, they got it. That wasn't ideal for me. Okay, so they take this spot and this spot. But that was their last spark. They can't take another turn. It's my turn to come back in, and I will need to. So I'll spend a spark to come back in since I'd passed. I know they can't come back in because they have no sparks left, and this 5 did not take her. 5 and 5, they cancel out. 4 and 3 don't make 5 either way. I have a lonely 7. I need to get B and 3. This would be the perfect place to play, but I can't easily get that. I need a 5 that's the right color. But I can take away 2 of the things that they have while getting something I need. So I'm going to spend both of my remaining sparks on top here to play my green 7. This still fits in the number progression, and there's not another green there. Taking this for me, I don't need the 4 that takes away their points, but I do need the B, so that helps. Great. At the end of the round, because I have nothing left to play, they have nothing left to play, I did not need to use my ability. I'll take this D, which I will build right away. They get the C. I get the B, which I'm going to build. They get the A. I get my 1, which I'll build. And 2, which is just parts. They take 3, which I wanted, but that's okay. And I'll take 4, which is just points. So now if I were to count my score, I get a spark for not spending my ability. I'm at 9 plus 3, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24 against the AI now having 8 times 3. I caught up. We're tied 24 to 24. Going into the last round, I'll go ahead and reset the board. I'm going to shuffle the entire gear deck, the contraption deck. For the round 3 setup, we'll go ahead and put out 4 gears, 4 gear cards to these spots. Give myself a hand of 5 new cards. AI will take the 3rd round 8 sparks. And I'll get a new contraption. Looking for C3. That's great. I went ahead and built this other contraption before, so I wouldn't be doubling up. I need C and 3. We're tied. Basic strategy for the last round is that because they get 3 points per part, if they were to only win 3 of the 8, they would have 9 points. My other 5 that I would theoretically win in that scenario would be worth 2 points each, or 10 points. So I would win this game because we're tied currently if I get 5 out of the 8. But if we split and get 4, I would need to fully build this or get some other help by getting extra sparks that I don't spend, or getting another contraption that I buy and build more. Start with here, I need C and 3, C and 3. I have a bunch of low numbers. It worked pretty well last time to restrict the numbering range. And I have a bunch of 3s in my hand. So why don't I go ahead and play one of these 3s out on the board here, which will allow me to use my space more. Actually, I do want to get a spark, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and play this here. I don't have many options to get sparks. 6 minus 4 is 2. Take this spark. Take that gear, get a spark. AI is playing on the greater than 4 empty space side, so they'll spend 1 spark here. Flipping this to play on B, there's 3 spots. B1 is not empty, so they will play again. B2, they'll play here. Okay. That wasn't ideal for me. I wanted to restrict that, but I made the choice to get a spark rather than restricting there, so that's on me. C3, which has a wide open range. They could take it back. However, they did play a 7, which is nice that I can now play a 3 down to get sparks there. This will take us away from the AI, take this away from the AI. They'll spend another spark, flip a card. They're playing an A, of which there's only 2 empty spots. A4. They miss 1 because it's not less than 3. They miss 2 because that's green. They do find a hit here. And they get a spark, unfortunately. 3 minus 2 is 1. So my strategy so far, because I prioritize getting a spark at the start, is coming back to haunt me. I need to give myself the ability to play another low card somewhere. This is a high card only right now. So I'll go ahead and play this lower card here. Although I'd really love to be able to take away things from them. No spark. They'll spend a spark, flip a contraption. They're playing in B. There's only 1 empty spot there. They don't control either of those, so this is the space they'll play. The reason the rule is written that way, you could keep flipping contraption cards until you find it, but you know you're looking only for that one, so it just speeds along the process there. They'll try to find something 2 to 6 that's not one of those 3 colors. They find a hit on the first flip. This is for them. This is for them. 7 minus 2 is 5. It's not good again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have a lot of real estate on the board. I need to take something back now. I can't play here with 3 and 4. This is too high. I think I need to get lucky on a card draw. Spend this, draw a card, hope it's a high card. It is not. And I want to spend my sparks to be able to play on top. All right, I'm going to hope that I get lucky and that they hit some of these difficult to hit number ranges. You can go ahead and take something that will hurt them more and help me. I need this 3. I'll go ahead and play this here. play on top by paying 2 sparks, taking this to purple, this to purple. Back to them. I'll spend a spark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're still on this side of the card. Looking for empty spaces. D, there's 3 empty spots. They have to flip another card. D1, they're going to target here. That's got quite a few options. 1 card, miss. 2 card, miss because it's blue. 3 card, hits. Thankfully, they did not tinker on that. And thankfully, I didn't need those. But they're again at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I don't take anything away from them, they will win this. The only card I can play on the board is this 4. Here, this spot. It does take away 2 of theirs, so that's good for me. But bad from the perspective of now they can pretty much play anywhere on the board. But we determined I would have lost unless I did this. So now this is going to be down to luck of the draw if I can win or not. I did not tinker there. They'll spend another spark, and they have way too many sparks for me to do anything. I have 1 card left and no sparks. They're going to try to play in C, but there are less than or equal to 4 empty spaces. So now they're going to look at any space, not just those that are empty. However, in C, they don't control anything completely since I have this. So all of them are valid. We need another card flip. They're looking at C3. Yes. They need a 5 or a 6 that is not yellow, not blue. 4 hits, 4 hits. 1, miss. 2, miss. 3, miss. 4, miss. I'm going to pass. It means that I literally can't do anything else then. I'll get 1 spark coming back to me at the end of the game for an extra point. AI will spend another spark. Come on, let's get another C hit there. D. I control all of the D columns. So again, they don't control both coordinates of any of them, so that all 4 are valid. So they'll flip a separate card. D2. Great, they need to find a 7 that is not gray, blue, or brown. And they just flipped a green. That means there's only a yellow 7 in the deck that could help them. 1, 2, because it's brown, 3, 4, miss. Perfect for me. I pass, back to them. I'll spend the spark. I'm going to flip D again. Now I'll shuffle off screen. Looking at D from before, D4, which is occupied. They need to find a number that is greater than or equal to 4 that's not gray or blue. Because the target space is occupied, they have to spend 1 spark. And they do this whether they can play there or not. Here's hoping against the hopes that they find only low numbers. 1, it's a blue, can't play it. 2, this is the ball game here. Yes, it's great. 3, blue. Oh man, I did not script this. I did not script this. If they flip this 1 last card and they can't play it, I still have a chance to win. Last card here. Nope, that's the ball game. They win. Okay, they take this spot here. Take it from me. Back to me. I, of course, had passed before. They control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will pass. It gives them all these parts, which will help them win the game. 1 card flip away. Now, they did still have another turn or 2. They could have done something, but still. So close. I did end up with fully building my contraption, which is a nice consolation prize. We'll tally score just to see how close it was, though. Got 1 spark for not using my ability. And then here at the end of the game, they will also score 2 points for each of their sparks they didn't use. So by ending early, they benefited more. 13 times 3, 39, 43. 43. And I have 9, 18, 22, 32, 33, 34, 35. They won by 8. No faded card flip. And that's how you play the solo mode for Gearworks. For different difficulty levels, they have more sparks, which makes it more difficult, and they'll even flip more cards on very hard. You also lose your special ability on the more difficult levels. I didn't focus on using my ability as much, part because I was trying to teach and keep the video on focus, but there are some more advanced abilities that help you in solo more. For example, why allowing you to slide gear cards in a row can make a big difference in locking down ranges. There are 2 new characters on the Kickstarter for the promo cards. Depending when you watch this, could still be live. But those characters, I don't have them in front of me to show you, but one of them allows you to swap 2 cards. You have to think about it a bit. The other one allows you to play 2 cards at once, which can make a big difference at the start of the round. This would have been a great round. I've done that at the very start of the round to get a spark and lock down this row, but I didn't. That's Gearworks solo mode. Hopefully that gave you a good taste for how to play the game.